who it is.
Hi.
It's BuzzPucks. I'm Bert.
I'm Clay.
And we're here for the first week of the playoffs this week.
Yes, sir.
Where most of the games, well, okay, half the series have played 4 games and half the series have played 3 games.
They'll.
And then game 4 for those 3 is tonight.
Yep, as we're recording.
So, we're going to basically go through each series, just give a brief talk about all of the games and any notes from those games.
I took no notes. I'm just here for
Clay,
vibes.
Yeah, Clay, I did all the work. So
I watched a lot of games.
I know.
But I'm just here for the takes.
Yeah, so we're just going to, go quickly through all the games. I don't think this will be a terribly long episode, and then we have one bit of rather shocking news to talk about at the end.
Right?
Yeah.
Why don't we start with that?
You want to start with it?
Start with that.
All right, well, we will start with that. So, but before that, what are we drinking, Clay?
We are drinking Thimble Islands Brewing Company. Yeah. Seafoam, a New England Pale Ale.
Yeah, and they're actually cold this week.
Because you got them.
Because I got them.
I like Thimble Island.
I like Thimble Island a lot,
everything they do is sea themed, kind of like Ballast Point.
Yeah, Ballast Point's like that too. And Ruth is enjoying a frozen carrot,
as she should.
Yeah,
I can't. Starting with the new news.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I can't believe Ottawa fired Pierre McGuire.
Fuck you, Clay. They did. That's true.
Yes,
that happened. My mom actually texted me that. She was like, Did you see that they fired Pierre McGuire? I was like, I'll be honest, I did not remember he was on Ottawa.
I have no idea what he did.
He was like the head of player development or something. I don't know.
I don't know what he did there.
Who knows? He got fired less than a year after being
100%.
hired, so...
He was apparently involved with some trades, like the Del Zotto.
Yeah, the Del Zotto and the Hamnick trade. The Hamnick trade that we were very confused about.
Exactly.
At the trade deadline. I'm sure he'll find work somewhere.
He's going to be back on TV.
As annoying as he is as an announcer, he does know a lot about hockey. So
yeah, but he likes to rub that in your face.
Yeah, he does. However, the real news that we were talking about is that the New York Islanders, for some reason, fired Barry Trotz.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't appreciate it. I'm happy.
Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs this year.
The Islanders worse.
Yeah, I think it makes them significantly worse.
Like a huge deal.
I guess depending on who they bring in as coach, but I don't know.
He turned them into a defensive juggernaut immediately.
Yeah.
They went from the worst defensive team in the league
to the best. Yeah, so I don't know about that. Decision.
Lou said he didn't talk to the players at all.
Well, there's some speculation that maybe he's just covering up so people aren't like, oh, so and so wanted him fired. Just for an example, Barzal wanted him fired, or somebody like that. But also, I could also believe that Lou, who is 80 years old, was just like, I'm gonna make a decision for myself.
Well, that's what he said.
Yeah, I know.
He makes rash. Lou has a history of making rash coaching decisions.
That's true.
It was only the ownership group that stopped him from firing Babcock as long as he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he kept firing guys on the Devils.
At least for that one, Babcock maybe should have been fired earlier than that in Toronto. But
agreed, but they were paying him with the $8 million a year salary. They weren't going to just let him fire him on a whim.
I suppose that's true. I don't know what Barry Trotz's contract was looking like, but
it ends next year.
So they still owe him that money.
So maybe it's the fact that they couldn't agree on an extension, and they didn't want a lame duck guy.
Maybe.
Also, there is a little bit of a rumor. It's the same thing with Washington, where one of the assistant coaches is maybe going to get poached otherwise. That they want him to be the next guy in line.
I don't know.
I think it's stupid.
I don't know.
I think Lambert's the guy's name.
I don't. Yeah, sure. I don't know. But I don't. I'm gonna call this right now. Barry Trotz is gonna win the Jack Adams next year for whatever bad team he goes to that makes the playoffs next year. I'm calling it right now.
He got Lou 2 GM of the Year awards.
Mm-hmm. Anyone a Jack Adams there.
Right, but
because he got there, and the Islanders, who were very bad the year before and didn't really change that much, were way better.
But that's the thing. He didn't change anything.
Yeah.
And he got a GM award.
Yeah.
making
And
no changes.
I see other people on Twitter being like, Lou Lamoriello is the guy who signed Chara, who signed Parise, just to make the team older. Has all of these older guys locked into at least like 2 or 3 more years of contract. Now those contracts aren't that bad.
Some of those contracts aren't that bad.
Some of those contracts aren't that bad, but
yeah,
it's not like Chara and Parise are getting paid a ton or anything like that. But I don't know. I think it's a bad move. I'm surprised it happened. I know they didn't make the playoffs, but like this was the first bad year the Islanders had under Trotz, and you could forgive it with all of the injuries and all of the COVID that they had,
and all of those road games,
and all of those road games at the start, and they still had a pretty respectable record. They were the first out in the East, which they were out of the playoffs by a good amount of points, but I don't know. They still finished very strong. So whatever.
This is something where if he didn't run this by the owners first, he could get fired over this.
I mean, yes. I don't know if he wouldn't do that. I mean, Lou Lamoriello is not a dumb guy.
Well, he's old and is just
I don't know,
wheeling and dealing.
Yeah, so that seems pretty. That was a pretty shocking thing I saw this morning, and I was like, well, somebody who needs a coach is jumping up and down right now.
DeBoer just started sweating out of nowhere.
Oh, DeBoer's sweating bullets right now because if Trotz going to Vegas.
Oh my God, Trotz going to Edmonton.
Yeah, if I was Edmonton, I would be like, bye, Woodcroft. We're going to hire Trotz.
I mean, Woodcroft was always intern, but like...
Yeah, he's done fine.
He's done great.
But I don't know. If I was Edmonton, I'd be like, ooh, shiny new meatball man.
You texted me about Philly.
Getting them too, yeah.
Philly, Trotz is a win-now coach. He doesn't develop young guys.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
Philly's out. Like, it would be smart. The same with Detroit. I wouldn't...
Detroit, I think he might be an okay fit with, because with him, they already have all those young guys. Most of them are fairly developed already.
They don't have veterans for him to not play the young guys. That is true.
But he could implement his like defense first system in there. But like I think that could be deadly in like Vegas or Edmonton.
Oh man,
because you know that like say he goes to Edmonton, he can do that defensive first mentality with everybody else, and then just let McDavid and Draisaitl's lines just do whatever.
100%.
And then they got lockdown defense the rest of the time. So that could be deadly. Vegas as well has just as much talent. 100%. So yeah, pretty shocking. He's going to win Jack Adams next year. Calling it right now. Calling my home run right now. Anyway, let's move on to the playoffs. Woo! Woo! So, we're going to start, because it was the first one that popped up when I pulled the playoffs up, the Rangers versus the Penguins.
It's been a great series.
It has been a very good series. Been a little bit back and forth. They play tonight.
They play their fourth
game 4 tonight. In Game 1, it went to triple overtime.
I did not stay up for triple.
I watched the entire game because I didn't have to work the next day, so I was like, sweet, I'm just going to stay awake. I was also very hungover the next day. The Penguins won in triple overtime 4-3 on a Malkin tip-in goal.
Yep.
Shesterkin made 79 saves in that game, which is very impressive, except for the fact that he lost.
I believe it's the second highest.
Second highest to Korpisalo,
yes,
I think, or Merzlikins, one of the two of them, for playoff games.
Yeah.
It was a Columbus goalie a few years ago.
Right, against the Lightning.
Against the Lightning, yeah. Jake Gensel had 2 goals in that game. Like I said, Malkin had the game-winning goal. There was kind of a sort of controversial no goal in the third period for the Rangers that would have put them ahead with like 3.5 minutes left. I don't. Do you have thoughts on that? Here's my thoughts. It was
Kakko.
Kakko was the one who... Was he the one that ran into the goalie?
Yes, and Dumoulin on his back.
Yeah, so they initially called it a goal. The Penguins challenged. Kakko ran into DeSmith with Dumoulin kind of with him, and then kind of knocked the puck to one of his teammates who scored. So they called it no goal after review. I think it was the correct call. I think that it was very deep in the blue paint. I think he was going to run into DeSmith no matter what, even without Dumoulin there. So I think it was the correct call.
My counter to that.
Sure.
I think it should have been the call on the ice. If they called it no goal, challenged it, in reverse,
Yeah.
no, like I think it should have been whatever the call on the ice was.
I don't know. I thought
The thing about Kako going close is we don't know how much contact would have been made. We don't know how that would have affected the play.
Right, but here's the thing though. Any contact usually results in goaltender interference when you're making the contact and then the puck is shot right past them.
But the problem,
if you move the goalie at all, that's usually called goaltender interference.
But if the defender is sending you into the goalie, which he was heavily sending him into the... was it DeSmith at that point?
Yeah, it was DeSmith.
DeSmith doesn't get that far out of the crease because he was out of the crease.
No, he wasn't. He was in the
when
blue
the goal
paint.
was scored. When the goal was scored.
He was. I misunderstood.
He was so far out of the crease.
Yeah, he was over to the side.
Dumoulin was on top of Kako into DeSmith and sending him so far out.
I'm not saying Dumoulin didn't have a part in it, but I just think that, now this might be my homerism talking, but I think Kako would have run into DeSmith no matter what, and at least a little bit, and probably would have messed up.
I think it would have been
DeSmith's setup.
I think it would have been a slight clipping, and it would still been.
I still think that may have been called goaltender interference.
I agree.
But here's the other thing: is it varies wildly ref to ref how they call goaltender interference. So I don't know.
It's one of those
because
things
there was one. Go ahead.
The one last night was a good goal.
Which one last night?
Kings Edmonton.
Oh, that's not even the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
It's a Colorado one.
Gotcha. Why are you staring at us like that?
Such a goober.
Right.
Sorry, I got distracted by my dog.
Me too. That's adorable. The problem is we live in the reality that it happened in, so we don't know what happened otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and who knows? The Penguins might have fought back and tied the game in the last 3 or whatever minutes.
Exactly. So it's we can't do the what ifs. We have to do what happened, and I think because of Dumoulin, again, if they had originally called no goal, it shouldn't have been a goal. Since they called a goal, it should have stayed. There wasn't overwhelming evidence to overturn the call on the ice. That's
fine.
That's my.
We can agree to disagree.
That's just my feeling. It's because, and either way, I was looking at that and it's just I don't know what they're gonna do.
I was on it. I was surprised that they overturned the goal. Honestly, I was surprised.
I looked at the whole play. It's just I don't know what they're gonna call.
Yeah, I didn't really either because I was watching shit, and I was like, well, that might have been goaltender interference, and then they reviewed it and they overturned it. I was like, all right. I mean, I agree, but whatever. So let's move on. There's some other things that happened in this game.
Yep.
In the second overtime, Casey DeSmith took himself out of the game.
Yep.
And it turns out that he tore something
in his core,
his core muscles, and he's out for the playoffs now.
He's done.
So
he had surgery.
So the Pittsburgh Penguins starting goaltender for the foreseeable future is Louis Domingue,
a man who is eating spicy
pork and broccoli, and maybe a steak burrito before going into the game
during the second overtime. Because he's like, I'm not going in this game.
And then came in, to his credit, stopped 17 of 17, was the goalie of record, got the win. Also in that game, Rickard Rakell got crushed.
Oh, man. That one, I think...
Yeah, so I think they initially called it a major and then took it back to a minor. The only reason I think they took it back to a minor was because he didn't extend the elbow.
Yeah, that's fair.
He left his feet. He hit him high. Now the good news is that Rakell, who has missed the next 2 games, obviously, he was back at practice in a non-contact jersey, I believe today.
He got concussed.
Oh yeah, he was very wobbly when they picked him up off the ice. But apparently, and also on top of Rakell, I don't know what happened, but Brian Dumoulin also got hurt at some point in that game. I don't recall that happening.
Yeah.
He was just out for the next 2 games and the 4th game tonight as well. And Barclay Goodrow, they said, for the Rangers, obviously, they said week to week for him. And then Lindgren, who is a defenseman on the Rangers, keeps being a game time decision.
Gotcha.
So he's close. That, yeah. He just, I guess, got a tweak somewhere. But anyway, so that was game one. A lot happened in game one.
What's super interesting about all of the games in the East, except for an extent, and then half the games in the West, except for the kind of the Carolina-Boston game to an extent, it's a young team with not a lot of playoff experience
versus an older team
versus an old team with a bunch of playoff experience, and this is where the Canes have won a series in the past couple years.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you look at the past 10 years, exactly half of these teams have made it to the Stanley Cup at least, and the other half does not have a lot of playoff experience.
Half the teams have won the Stanley Cup.
Yes, but Nashville, the exceptions of Nashville.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about the East.
Well, as soon as I started thinking about it, Colorado's a young team, not a lot of playoff experience.
They made it to the Western Finals a couple years ago.
Yep, that's true, but
they have more than some of the other younger teams.
Carolina has more than some of the others. Dallas versus Calgary.
Yeah, Calgary.
Young team, no playoff success.
Yeah.
Versus Dallas, who went to the Stanley Cup 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You have Boston versus Carolina. Carolina's won some series, but
Boston's always there.
But Boston went to the Stanley Cup 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Whenever they lost to the Blues, yeah.
Then obviously.
Then you have the Rangers in Pittsburgh. Caps, Florida. Tampa Bay, Toronto.
Kings, Edmonton.
Yeah. Well.
That core.
That's true. That's true.
Means a lot.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it looks like the older guys are kind of leveling it out a little bit.
Very much so.
So let's just keep going with the Penguins and Rangers. In Game 2, the Rangers did much better.
Yep.
They beat the Penguins 5-2. Two of those goals were kind of late in the game. It was pretty close for a while there. Artemi Panarin and Frank Vatrano had a goal and 2 assists in this game, while Crosby had a goal and an assist. Crosby's goal was fairly impressive.
Yeah.
He was trying his best. But for these first 2 games, outside of the Evgeny Malkin goal that won Game 1, the Penguins were only getting scoring from the Crosby line. Yep. It was Crosby, Gensel, and Rust that were doing all the scoring.
Gensel's murdering.
Gensel has 4 goals in this series right now. Because the other Penguins goal in Game 2 was Jake Gensel.
Yeah. I think he had a brace in Game 3. I think he had a brace in Game 3, so 2 goals.
A brace?
A brace. A brace is 2 goals.
I've never heard that before.
I watch a lot of soccer.
Is that a soccer term? Yeah, never once heard that before. Did he have 2? I think he only had 1 goal in game. It was an empty netter towards the end. Anyway, there was a collision between Jeff Carter and Igor Shesterkin, which I think was mostly incidental.
Completely incidental.
On both guys. I think they just I don't think Shesterkin saw Carter, and I think Carter thought that Shesterkin was going to turn a little sharper.
Shesterkin had to take a wide line to avoid Fox, and then...
Well, he also tripped up with Fox as well. So it was incidental. Luckily, nobody got hurt, even though Shesterkin acted like he got stabbed for a few minutes on the ice, but. He eventually popped up. I guess he got the wind knocked out of him or whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
But it was really funny.
Just lying flat on his back.
Laying flat on his back, like Carter shot him. So it was just very silly. And obviously I mentioned Louis Domingue is the starter until Tristan Jarry is skating and doing some practice things, but I don't know.
It depends on where that foot broke.
Yeah, I don't know. So Louis Domingue is the starter moving forward. Moving on to Game 3. The Penguins won 7-4. This game was really interesting because the Penguins were up 4-1 after the first period, and then it was tied at 4 after the second period, and then the Penguins scored a goal with 6 minutes left or something.
Yeah.
Dalton Heinen scored the game-winning goal.
And then a bunch of empty nets after
And then a couple empty nets after that. Big game from the Penguins' depth, which they really needed. Evan Rodriguez had 2 goals and an assist. Carter had 2 goals. One of them was one of the empty netters. And Mike Matheson had 3 assists in that game. Crosby in this game overtook Paul Coffey for 6th all-time in playoff points. And I think he's only 3 points away from being the 5th player all time to reach 200.
Yep.
Jason Zucker returned in Game 3, and thank God did not actually get hurt. And still no Lindgren, even though he was a game-time decision for Game 3.
Yeah.
So, Game 4 for that series is tonight, but obviously the Penguins are up 2-1 in the series, which might be a little surprising.
When this drops, the game will be over.
Oh, yeah. This will drop at midnight tonight. That game will be over, so we'll see what happens.
Maybe it'll be over. Depends on how many overtimes they get to.
So it'll be over for me. Because I got to work tomorrow. Anyway, moving on to Carolina.
Hold up.
What? We're only through one series.
Well, yeah, and so many of these series are so interesting because they're just shit stomping each other alternating shit stomps.
Well, yeah.
Except
that game
for,
1 was not a shit stomp. That was a pretty tightly contested game.
Except for whatever Colorado does.
Yeah.
Sorry, Colorado is just shit stomping.
One of those games was in overtime, but
it's not back and forth.
No, it isn't. Sorry, Nashville.
I'm sorry, Nashville. There's been some close games with Calgary, Dallas.
Yes.
But for the most part, everyone else is just
beating the crap out of each other back and forth, yeah. So, I think it was Pierre LeBrun, NHL insider. I saw him tweet today. He was like, "It's so interesting. None of these series have momentum carryover from game to game. With the exception of maybe Carolina and Boston,
which we'll talk about,
which we'll get to right now. But all of the rest of the series, not counting Colorado, none of them have momentum carried over from game to game.
It's hilarious to watch because you don't know what's going to happen.
You can make an argument for Dallas because they've won 2 in a row.
Yes, you're right.
But anyway, we'll get to them in a second. Let's talk about Carolina and Boston.
This has been such a fun series.
This has been an interesting series because Game 1, Carolina won 5-1 pretty handily.
Yep.
Boston got pretty chippy late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Antti Raanta put up a 35 save performance. Trocheck and Seth Jarvis each had a goal and an assist.
Yep.
Not really much else to say.
No.
Yeah.
Game 2.
Yeah, Game 2. Game 2 is where it got a little bit more interesting. Carolina won again, 5-2 this time. Aho and Niederreiter both had 2 goals.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrice Bergeron had both goals for Boston.
Yep.
Boston got extremely chippy in this game.
Nothing but chippy.
And Antti Raanta was hurt from a collision with Pasternak, which I don't think was intentional.
Not intentional, but reckless.
Yeah, Pasternak was reckless.
It was originally called a major.
Yeah.
It was dropped down to 2.
That's happened like 3 or 4 times in
the
playoffs already. But yeah, one thing I wanted to mention is they're actually calling penalties.
Right.
Which is insane.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Carolina had 9 power plays in Game 2 of
As they deserve. Some of them were...
And then Boston had 9 in Game 4.
Some of them were delayed games. There's been a lot of delayed games. It's funny because... One, it seems like they've been told to actually make calls. They're so used to not calling stuff that they'll not do anything about some really egregious like slashing or cross checking.
Yeah.
And then they'll call some
little ticky tacky like hooking.
Hook, as like a makeup to like, I should have called that earlier. So it's been real interesting with what they've been calling?
Yeah.
Yes, they've been calling a lot.
I'm just happy they're actually calling penalties. I would think for the most part, from what I've seen, most of the things they've been calling have been penalties.
Yes.
Like by the book.
Yes.
But I mean, obviously they've missed some things. Nobody is perfect.
Of course, it's a fast.
This is all anybody wants is them to just call some stuff at least act like they're trying to call the games.
Yep.
Anyway. Also in Game 2, Hampus Lindholm got crushed by Svechnikov.
So this was after the Raanta getting hurt.
Yes.
So
this was a very clean hit.
Oh,
straight up clean hit.
So
Lindholm just got rocked.
Pasta kind of ran Raanta.
Sort of.
Again, it was more reckless than intentional.
It cut Ranta's face. Raanta is back in the series now.
He missed Game
I think he missed Game 3.
And it was a precautionary.
And he missed most of Game 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
jaw.
He
Something.
got cut somewhere.
Then Svechnikov, again, like Bert said,
Laid out
Clean hit.
very clean, like shoulder to the chest.
It would have been completely shoulder to the chest, but Lindholm's
Was
head
a
was
little
down.
low, yeah,
His
so it
head
clipped
was-
him a bit.
He was looking down low, and then that shoulder also caught him in the chin. But what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
What? It's an unfortunate
Clean hit.
He was.
Svech didn't even leave his feet.
No, he didn't.
No.
He was. Lindholm was out before he hit the ground.
Oh yeah.
Um.
But we got to give a little shout out to Kochekov
Mhm.
for Carolina, who was their backup for this game because Freddie Anderson is also still hurt.
Yes, he is.
He made 30 saves coming
Mhm.
into that game. Cold, just like Louis Domingue. There's been some like crazy goalie stuff
There's
happening.
been 9 different goalies this playoffs.
So,
And then on top of the chippiness towards the end of the game, not Crosby, Marchand does a little cross check to the goalie Kochekov's back.
yeah,
Kochekov, who is a rookie, isn't taking that, slashes Marchand just a little tap across his shins, and then Marchand just rears back and did a full whack.
Yep.
He's
a cool guy, that Marchand.
He really is a cool guy. And it just, I think he got
He wasn't.
tossed.
I don't remember. He wasn't having a particularly good game 1 or 2.
No.
Marchand was. However, when
Yes.
this series flipped to Boston for Game 3, Boston won 4-2.
Yep.
Marchand had a goal and 2 assists in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Pasternak had a goal and an assist. Boston also switched goalies to Swayman.
Yep.
Allmark was the starter for the first 2 games. Not necessarily all of his fault.
No, not at all. They
but
were playing defense.
They swapped to Swayman, who played very well, made 25 saves. And then Martin Nook got injured for Carolina in the second period.
Oh, no. They didn't see that.
Jordan Martin Nook. So,
We
yeah,
need
Boston
him.
got the series close, and in Game 4, Boston tied the series.
Yes, they did.
5-2 was the final in this game. They were in control for most of the game.
Entire time, yeah.
Marchand had 2 goals and 3 assists in this game, so he factored into every one of the goals.
Even though one was an empty netter, but you still got 2 goals.
And then Bergeron had a goal and 2 assists, and then DeBrusque and Pasternak each had a goal and an assist in this game. Charlie McAvoy apparently was either exposed to COVID or has COVID, so he is out
He's out.
for who knows how long.
This wasn't involved in any border crossing, so like he might be symptomatic.
Must be, yeah.
So,
which is funny because actually the Penguins announcing team also is in COVID protocol right now, so I don't know what they did.
Fun.
They were at a restaurant or something, but their main announcing team is not calling the game tonight.
Yeah, definitely check out this Carolina-Boston series because
It's fun.
they hate each other.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
really
so
do
much
not
fun.
like each other.
I mean, this is the Lambeau versus Prius.
That's right.
Series.
Yes, it is. And for the first couple games, Prius was looking good. Lambeau's looking better in the second 2 games. Well, I'm just talking about the teams. But.
Agreed, but Trocheck was actually like doing a lot of good work the first 2
He's
games.
a good player.
Yeah.
Trocheck's a good player. Pittsburgh native. Anyway, moving to Toronto and Tampa Bay. This
No swings.
This series is really strange.
No momentum.
Yeah. So game 1, Toronto won 5-0.
Yep.
And Toronto was absolutely in charge of that entire game. They scored 4 goals very fast in the first period, and then they tacked on another one at some point. Jack Campbell, 24 saves, only faced 24 shots.
Yep.
So there you go. Austin Matthews, 2 goals and an assist. Mitch Marner, goal and 2 assists.
He broke his power play streak.
He did, yeah.
Like
Marner did, yeah.
18 playoff games, no power play goals.
Finally scored a power play goal. Kyle Clifford boarded Ross Colton.
Oh, I forgot about this.
It was extremely egregious. This had something to do with the 5-0 because he got a major for that and got kicked out of the game.
Kyle Clifford plays for Toronto.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got them reversed.
First,
look, they're both blue and white teams.
It's been very frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
I'm glad this blue and white team is playing this other blue and white team.
They have almost exactly the same color scheme. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, playoffs.
Yes. That was in the first period.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but Toronto killed it off and got all of that momentum out of it.
Killed it off and also almost scored 3 goals.
Yeah.
They had 3 chances down a man, shorthanded.
Yep.
I don't know if Tampa had a shot during this major.
I couldn't tell you, but yeah. So Toronto really dominated game 1. Clifford did get suspended for game 2, and Tampa Bay got fairly chippy by the end of the game.
Yes.
As they do when things aren't going their way.
Yes.
However,
Kucherov.
game 2, Tampa Bay won. It was 5-3. Now Toronto made it closer late, but Tampa Bay had control of most of the game.
Yes.
They went 3 for 7 on the power play. Tampa Bay did.
Yep.
Victor Hedman had a goal and 3 assists. Kucherov a goal, 2 assists. Matthews and Marner had 2 points each, so they were trying.
Yep.
But yeah, Tampa Bay mostly had control of the game
100%.
that game.
Yeah.
Now
it was impressive because of this. Oh, this is what Tampa can do.
Yeah. However, we flipped the series to Tampa Bay for Game 3, and Toronto won pretty handily, 5-2. Engvall had 3 assists for Toronto, while Mikheyev had 2 goals. Jack Campbell made 32 saves, and Mitch Marner has 6 points in the first 3 games. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
He's putting in a very, very good performance. However, going to Game 4, as we mentioned, no momentum between games. Tampa Bay won 7-3. Ross Colton, who got boarded in Game 1, scored 2 goals.
Yes, he did.
Hagel, Kucherov, and Hedman all had 2 assists, and Willie Nylander had 2 goals. However, Toronto was kind of dogging it at the end. They were down by a lot, and they just sort of gave up, which you never like to see. Specifically Nylander. There's a video.
He scored 2 goals.
He scored 2 goals, but there's a video of him not really trying to get a puck towards the end of the game.
And it was. I don't even think it was towards the end of the game.
Was it not?
It was in the they were down 5-0.
I've been watching both games. I've been watching 2 games at a time, basically, so I kind of miss things sometimes. But
I'm flipping back and forth because of the start times.
Yeah.
So I'm missing bits of one when I go to the other. But and then I switch during intermissions. So I'm again missing little bits. But yeah, it was 5-0.
They caught it on video. It's all over the internet. We're like, look at Nylander not even trying to get this loose puck. It's like, okay, well, he scored 2 goals later, and you guys were down 5-0 at that point. So it's a little disheartening. Mm-hmm.
I found something that makes me really mad.
What's that?
What's the backup goalie's name for Toronto?
Kalen?
It's Kallgren.
Oh, that's right.
Except it's not Kallgren.
What is it?
It's Kallgren. The K, A with an umlaut, is SH sound.
Oh, you Eastern Europeans and your silly umlauts.
Stupid Swedes. I was so...
Kallgren.
I was so mad.
We'll see if Kallgren starts Game 5.
Because I've been calling him Kallgren all season.
Yeah,
because he showed up a couple of times.
Huh.
And I've heard it pronounced and I'm just like, am I hearing this
It's
wrong?
one of those
and
things that even the announcers aren't sure, and it's just like, oh, good.
No, they were sure. I'm just wrong.
Oh. I was the one that was incorrect. All right.
How was I supposed to know?
Moving on to the last series in the East, Florida and Washington.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I think a lot of people are surprised by what's going on in this series right now.
They shouldn't be.
Well, the battle tested Capitals are up 2-1 in this series right now. They won Game 1, 4-2. Now that was a pretty close game. Florida was ahead 2-1, I think, late, and then
though.
Well,
Washington on the score, but Washington controlled it for the most part.
Yeah, they got 3 goals semi-late.
Yeah,
it was one of them might have been an empty net goal. I don't remember, but
I think Eller got an empty net.
Vanacek played great, 30 saves in that game. Kucherov had a huge momentum goal.
Yes, he did.
Where Ovechkin, I think I texted you about it. Ovechkin stole the puck at the blue line and kind of got tangled up with the defender, but he got enough momentum on the puck to put it forward to Kucherov, who
Kuznetsov.
I'm sorry. Yes, Kuznetsov.
Russian
Yeah,
begins with E.
I was close. Kuznetsov, who buried the breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
Huge momentum swing, and then they scored again not long after that. I believe Oshie had the game-winning goal.
Yes.
You know what? Bobrovsky played pretty well too. He made 34 saves.
He did play very well.
Unfortunately, Tom Wilson left a minute 31 into the game after scoring a goal.
No, a minute 31 was his shift time.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was his shift
it.
time. He played 90 seconds in the game. He scored a goal in those 90 seconds. Then he got a knee injury.
He earned it. He earned the power play.
Yeah.
That ended up scoring on.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, just because he earned the high stick, then they delayed a game.
Yeah,
it was during the second power play. He scored.
And
then left with a knee injury.
Yeah, and then he left with a knee injury, and unfortunately, it doesn't look very good for him returning, at least in this series or at all for the playoffs.
He's not in Game 4.
Yeah. So yeah, that's no good. However, Aaron Ekblad is back.
Yeah, that's very good for him.
He's back for Game 1.
I'm very glad he's back.
Look at this dog crawling up into people's laps.
Because it's one of those things where you want, if like the team that you're a fan of, if you're going to beat someone else, you want them to beat them at full strength. You don't want injuries.
You want the...
Also, Ekblad is really good.
Yeah,
so
he's great.
It's fun to watch him
He
play.
took a little while to develop, but he has turned into a very good defenseman. Washington came back in the third, like I said, came back and scored 3 late goals to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to Game 2, Florida pretty much dominated 5-1.
It's one of those things where it's money puck. So it's analytics.
Yeah.
They do every game. They do a tracker on like deserves to win.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Pittsburgh game where they went to triple overtime.
Yeah, they had like 80% Pittsburgh should have won that game.
80%. In this game too, Washington was at 80% deserves to win, down 3-1.
Oh.
So Vanacek did not have a good game.
No.
And neither did the defense, which kind of left him out to dry for his 2 goals.
Yeah. Bobrovsky did make 26 saves.
Mm-hmm.
Verhaeghe and Barkov each had a goal and an assist. There's really nothing else to say about that game. Florida just kind of took over that one.
They punished Washington for every single
mistake. Mistakes. Yeah. However, heading back to Washington dominated for Game 3, winning 6-1. Samsonov started this game over Vanacek, made 29 saves, played pretty good. Ovi and Carlson each had a goal and an assist. Backstrom and Mantha each had 2 assists.
Yeah.
Good game for Washington, bad game for Florida. This was the first time Florida was held to 1 or less goals in regulation since January 21st.
They went the entire regular season without getting shut out.
Yeah.
They still haven't
been shut out.
But they're holding them.
Yeah.
Defense.
Yeah. Washington is playing fairly good defense right now. Other than Game 2, I guess, containing Florida's attack. However, did you know that John Huberdeau is now tied for the most points in Florida playoff history?
I did not know that.
With Ray Shepard.
Am I surprised?
No. Can you guess how many points it is?
7.
18.
Ha!
It's not that much.
They only had 1 Stanley Cup run, so that's it.
Oh yeah, rev that engine.
That's a 50cc right there.
Something. All right, let's move to the West, and we're going to start with Colorado versus Nashville. This has been the one series that has not been very close.
No.
Colorado's up 3-0 in the series. They dominated in Game 1, 7-2. Kel McCarr had a goal, 2 assists. McKinnon had 2 goals and an assist. Rantanen had 3 assists. Duchesne had 2 goals for Nashville, both goals. Obviously, no UC Saros.
No, you had...
They went up 5-0 in the first period, I think.
They had the entire Colorado crowd chant Duchesne sucks.
And then he scored.
Yeah, but Duchesne used to play for Colorado.
Yes, he did, yeah. That's where he started.
Yes.
Yeah. Riddick, who is starting for Nashville, obviously because Saros is injured, got chased in the first period after giving up either 4 or 5 goals.
Yep.
And unfortunately, Cogliano was hurt in the third period for Colorado. Moving on to Game 2, a much closer game, went to overtime. Colorado won 2-1. Makar got the game-winning goal in overtime.
Yep.
McKinnon had the other goal, and Trainin had the goal for Nashville.
This is the only game where it's been close.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Connor Ingram started in net for Nashville.
Yep.
He did make 49 saves. He played very well.
He's been playing very well.
He played well. He played well in that game.
That's fair. You're right. You're right.
Nichushkin had a goal disallowed later on in the game that would have put Colorado ahead in regulation, but it got waved off. And then Game 3 happened in Nashville. You think they would get some momentum?
No.
Nashville would from playing at home. They lost 7-3. Colorado. Oh boy. Landeskog had 2 goals, 2 assists. Kadri had a goal and an assist, and Makar had 3 assists. Landeskog's second goal. Now this is the one I was talking about before with the goaltender interference. So the second goal that he scored put Colorado up 4-3.
Yep.
It was tied at that point. I don't remember who it was in front of the net, but they kind of like caught the goalie's foot and kind of moved him, and then Landeskog scored. Now, watching that, I was like, they're going to call that a no-goal because he did literally move the goalie, and they called it a good goal. And then, obviously, when you challenge now, you get a delay of game penalty if you get it wrong. And then Colorado immediately scored on that power play to make it 5-3, and all of the momentum was taken away from Nashville. Remember, it was tied 3-3 at that point, and so they gave up that goal to Landeskog, which sucks. But then they gave up yet another goal, which just broke all of the momentum, and then they ended up giving up 2 other goals as well.
That's rough.
And there was a scary incident in this game with Darcy Kemper.
Oh, yeah.
So a really crazy thing happened where one of the Nashville players' sticks, he was not paying attention, went through Kemper's mask, like through the eye slots, and caught him in the eye. Thankfully, he's okay. There was no structural damage to his eye. He's not going to play in Game 4 because I guess it's swollen all around his eye. But thankfully, he's okay. But that was terrifying.
Yeah. Oh man, he tried to skate to the bench,
and then he just fell down. I mean, if you've ever gotten hit in the eye with anything, it is really terrifying.
This isn't the first time it's happened to Kemper.
Oh really?
It's not.
He might need to get smaller slots in his mask.
It's a style of mask. They're like cat's eye masks.
Oh yes, yeah.
Where
I've seen these talked about before.
Where they're wider spaces, so you have a better quote unquote field of vision.
Mm-hmm.
But
it allows sticks to go into it, yeah.
Yes. So that's the style of mask that he wears.
Yeah.
This is not the first time that he's gotten a stick to the face.
It's happened with a few other goalies as well. So, yeah. So, Colorado has all the momentum. They might finish it off tonight. We'll see. But, moving on.
Well, if they finish it off tonight, that could help whoever's playing them next.
Maybe. That's kind of a slippery slope to be like, well, they'll be rusty. Like, will they?
It happens sometimes. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's like a 50-50.
It depends on the team. Sometimes too much rest is bad. Sometimes it's not.
I think Colorado will be fine regardless. I don't know that they'll win against whoever they play in the next round, but I don't think it will negatively affect them.
Yeah.
So, Minnesota versus St. Louis.
Been fun.
This has been a big time back and forth series as well. Game 1, St. Louis won 4-0.
Perron.
Yeah. David Perron had a hat trick and an assist on top of that, so he factored into all 4 goals for St. Louis. Ville Husso, in his playoff debut, made a 37-save shutout.
It's great for him.
Yeah. It was a great performance. They did give up 37 shots. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
But he saved every one of them. However, in Game 2, Minnesota evened it up with a 6-2 win. Kaprizov had a hat trick.
Yep.
In this game, Joel Eriksson Ek had 2 goals and an assist as well. Marc-Andre Fleury made 32 saves. However, Robert Bortuzzo decided to block a puck with his head. And, he hasn't played again in the rest of this series, obviously.
I wonder why.
Hopefully he's okay. No Nick Leddy for this game, too, either. And Leddy has not played so far the rest of this series yet. This was Marc-Andre Fleury's 91st playoff win.
It's like he's good or something.
I know, right? One behind Grant Fuhr for third all-time. And guess what? as of Game 3, he's tied for Grant Fuhr for third all-time because Minnesota won 5-1.
Gasp.
Fleury made 29 saves in this game. Ryan Hartman had 2 assists, while Joel Eriksson had a goal and an assist. Marco Scandella returned for St. Louis after missing the first couple of games, and I think the last couple of games of regular season.
Yeah.
Torrey Krug was unfortunately hurt in the first for St. Louis. And, Marc-Andre Fleury is tied for third all-time with Grant Fuhr in playoff victories.
Well,
he will never catch Brodeur or Waugh.
Nope.
Not at his age. But, hey.
He might get third all-time. Well, it depends on what happens in the series.
Yeah, he may very well get third all-time.
They gotta win.
They did.
No, they.
Oh, they have to. They have to win one more game. Well, they didn't win Game 4.
No.
Well, St. Louis got their momentum back, winning the game 5-2, pretty handily. Honestly,
Yeah, no, I watched a lot of that game.
Minnesota scored a goal late to make it a little bit closer, but St. Louis was in control for most of the game. David Perron again, 2 goals and an assist in this game.
He's been killing
dirty man.
When they're winning,
he's playing great. Yeah. Ryan O'Reilly also had a goal and 2 assists. And Jordan Kyrou scored 2 goals for them. Marco Scandella got hurt in the first period. And the Blues played with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. And then it was 11 forwards and 6 defensemen after Scandella got hurt.
Which you don't want.
No, it's never good to do that.
I'll be honest, the Colorado-Nashville series is the only series I have not watched a single game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've not watched a single one.
I haven't watched a lot of these later games just because we're on the East Coast and we have full-time jobs.
It's rough.
Yeah. As much as I would like to, I do have to sleep to go to work the next day.
I also just have to sleep.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah. I also just moved and I'm still trying to recover all of my energy from that ordeal. But anyway, moving on to Calgary and Dallas. Another, I think, surprising series. Dallas is up 2-1 in this series.
But this is where that playoff experience
slash a hot rookie goalie, too.
That and a team built for the regular season that we didn't realize, but it might have just been built for the regular season.
Now, this series isn't over yet. However, Calgary took game 1 1-0.
Yep.
1-0, and that was a power play goal.
Yes.
Scored by Elias Lindholm.
Mm-hmm.
Markstrom only had to make 16 saves in this game. 16 for a shutout.
That's 1 really good by Calgary's defense.
Yeah.
2 really bad for Dallas's offense.
Mm-hmm. Jake Ottinger had 25 saves, only gave up that 1 goal. Unfortunately, it was the only one that mattered. Yeah, 16 shots, man.
Otter is a very good goalie.
Ottinger.
I know. That's what they call him. They call him Otter. And
I guess that's fair. I was a little close to the mic, sorry.
Nope.
However, in Game 2, Dallas was the one doing the shutting out, winning 2-0. That boy Ottinger, that Otter boy, made 29 saves to get a shutout. Joe Pavelski had a goal in this game, and Jake Markstrom did play pretty well, making 21 of 22 saves.
Yeah.
One of those goals obviously was an empty netter, so essentially this game was 1-0 as well.
Yeah.
Johnny Gaudreau only has 2 shots through the first 2 games of this series. Only 2 shots.
So I saw this. I don't remember what year it started, but it has playoff stats in 5v5.
Mm-hmm.
Gaudreau has
he's dead last.
He's dead last. There's 4 defensemen in front of him out of 380 some players.
Yeah, he's dead last. He's dead last in forwards.
In forwards, yes.
He's, I believe, I remember it because it's so absurd, he was 346th out of all players in the playoffs, which is dead last for for forwards.
And I don't remember what year it started. It might be since he entered the league.
Maybe since he came in the league, yeah.
Still, like...
That's ridiculous. I think it's points per 60 minutes even strength.
Yes, it's strictly 5-on-5.
So, yeah, it's not good. And it didn't get much better in Game 3.
Well, the last time they got knocked out, it was by Dallas.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no. Yeah, so Dallas won Game 3 as well, 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Pavelski, that boy, that old man, had 2 goals in this game.
What is he, 37, 38?
Something like that. Yeah, he's getting up there.
Yeah.
Hey, but he's, you know what? He's playing pretty well.
Has been a renaissance.
Sometimes old guys in the NHL, their play falls off, but, Pavelski has kept on chugging.
Well, it's because they know the game. I didn't realize she had left under the table.
Yeah.
Because
Being bad.
you have the vision. You might not have the physical ability that you used to, but you have the vision to like break up plays, know what's going to happen, and
right.
be right there.
So yeah, and Ottinger so far this series, Ottinger made 39 saves in game 3.
Calgary was coming at him.
So far this series, Jake Ottinger has made 93 of a possible 96 saves. Insane.
Otterboy's killing it.
Otterboy is killing it. Now, for the last series in the West and the last one in the playoffs so far, Edmonton Oilers versus the LA Kings. You guys probably thought, oh, they're crazy for saying LA might win this series. This series is tied at 2. What? Okay, wait. I'll go through the games. We'll go through the games. So, LA shockingly won Game 1, 4-3. They scored on a late goal.
Ha! Told you.
They scored on a late goal, taking Game 1. Trevor Moore, who's having a great series so far, had a goal and 2 assists. Philip Deneau had the game-winning goal late in the game. Kailer Yamamoto had a pretty good game, goal and an assist, and McDavid also had a goal and an assist. And as you texted me, you live by Mike Smith, you die by Mike Smith.
Oh my God!
He made some good saves and then some really boneheaded moves in that game.
The game-winning goal was he went behind the net to distribute the puck.
Yes. And he fucked up.
Coughed it up.
Yeah.
Makes a diving save out of nowhere to save it. And then lets a weak one in.
Yep.
It's
It was Mike Smith encapsulated in one play.
Yep.
Mike Smith.
Incredible diving save, a weak goal getting let in.
Terrible goal let in.
And then terrible puck management.
Yeah. Well, they did get Darnell Nurse back in this game, and Victor Arvidsson was out to start this series.
Arvidsson
and I believe
played the series.
He has not played yet. So, moving on to Game 2, Edmonton got their revenge, winning 6-0 in this game. So, Mike Smith looked better in this game, obviously.
Yes,
he got a shutout, making 30 saves. So, respectable.
Yep.
Vander Kane had 2 goals and an assist in this game, while McDavid had 2 assists. This is Edmonton's first playoff win in 8 games.
Yep.
They had lost 7 straight playoff games before this. So,
yes.
But you know what? They made it 2 in a row because they beat LA 8-2.
They stomped LA.
In Game 3. Yeah, it was real bad. Vander Kane had a hat trick in this game. Well, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had 2 goals and assists, and Hyman had 2 goals and assists. Zach Hyman, I consistently forget, is
still
on
playing?
Edmonton.
Yeah.
No, not still playing. I just forget that he's on Edmonton.
Yeah.
No Grundstrom for LA in this game. However, he did return in Game 4, and he made a big impact because LA won Game 4 4-0.
2 goals.
Jonathan Quick had 31 saves. Grundstrom, like Clay just said, had 2 goals. I think the 3rd and 4th goals.
Yes.
Pretty much the back-breaking goal and then an empty netter. And then Trevor Moore technically had the game-winning goal because he scored the first goal. Jonathan Quick is now tied for 12th all-time in playoff shutouts.
Yes. So, this game was really interesting. Oh, man, there's so much to talk about for all the series, just in general, that I want to double back on.
Well, we will once the series start wrapping up, too.
And not even that, just while we're here where we are.
Sure.
The 3rd goal by LA. Grundstrom beat Nurse. Nurse drew a penalty by trying to hold him back.
Yeah.
And then he intentionally tripped him. Who went into Mike Smith, pushing it into the net.
Yeah.
Textbook. If it's caused by the defender, it's a good goal.
Yeah.
And then after that goal, Nurse swept the legs out of Trevor Moore.
Yep.
Trevor Moore responds by cross-checking the crap out of Nurse, and they both get tossed from the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been great.
We'll see where this series goes. So,
they don't like each other already.
Yeah.
I love it. Toronto can't win when they're ahead in a series, which works out in their favor.
That's
just
true.
Keep going
you go to Game 7, that's okay.
If this keeps going back and forth, with
Maybe
Toronto
they
and
can do
Tampa.
it. Yeah.
That's
Toronto's
it.
not out of it. All of the games that have played 4 games so far obviously are tied at 2. The only series that could end tonight is Colorado. Who knows? It might.
I wouldn't be surprised if every other series besides the Colorado Nashville
Ties up at 2 again.
Ties up at 2.
Yeah, that's very possible. But yeah, so that's the first week of the playoffs. First handful of games. What's up?
They announced some finalists today.
Oh yes, they did. Go ahead.
For the Norris,
Mhm.
the finalists are Makar, Hedman, and I want to say Saros, but that's the goalie.
It's Yossi.
Yossi.
Right team.
Yes. Roman Yossi.
Yeah. Yes.
I did a good job there.
Yeah, you did so good not knocking your mic over until the end.
Yep, I did great. Roman Yossi. Who do you think's gonna win?
Yossi. I do.
Oh,
I think
100%.
Yossi.
Oh yeah.
You can make an argument for Makar, but Yossi just had such a good season.
Such a good season.
Did he have 100 points?
Yes.
Yeah. I think they're going to give it to Yossi. Yeah. He's a very good all-around defenseman.
Yep.
So's Hedman. Makar is getting there.
Yep.
Hedman, I think, is just there for name recognition, but I think Yossi's going to win.
I mean,
he had a good season. He didn't have a bad season.
Deserved it. Last year he didn't, but like this year he did.
But yeah, I think it's going to be Yossi. As for the Vezina finalists,
because that was announced.
Igor Shesterkin.
Yep.
Jacob Markstrom and UC Saros.
Yes.
Shesterkin is going to win.
Oh my god.
I don't think there's no question in my mind that he's going to win. If he doesn't, that's a travesty. Yeah. He's going to win.
He's going to get Hart votes, and he deserves to get Hart votes.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win the Hart, he deserves votes. He deserves the best.
I'm telling you right now, Austin Matthews is going to win the Hart.
Yeah.
Maybe strictly because he plays on Toronto. He had a great season too. He had 60 goals.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shesterkin's going to at least win the Vezina. I mean, I wouldn't disagree if he won the Hart.
Don't get me NHL loves the Rangers too.
That's true.
So
that is also true. But I just think they haven't had like a superstar player in Toronto for so long. I'm sure they're salivating to give him the Hart. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's fair.
Because it's the media that votes on the Hart. Mm-hmm. The Lindsay, I don't know who's going to win that. Because that's voted on by the players. That one's a crapshoot. That one is whoever the players respect the most or are afraid to play against the most, basically. But
still could be Matthews.
Could be Matthews. Could be Shesterkin. Could be either one of them. Could be McDavid. Who knows? Could be Sidney Crosby. Mm-hmm. It's up to the players to pick that one.
Yep.
But yeah. So thank you for joining us for week 1 of the playoffs. We'll be back next week. You can follow us on @BuzzPucks on Twitter. You can find us on wherever podcasts are found.
Yep.
And give us a rate, give us a subscribe, give us a review, all of that good shit. And we'll see you next week. Same puck time.
Same puck place.
Bye-bye.
Bye.